I think Adrian, the first time call out of Louisiana, is ready now. Adrian, let's try it again.
Hey, Jesse, can you hear
Much,
me?
much better.
Okay, that's great. I was calling about the news clip you showed early in the show out from New Orleans with the guy with the Halloween decorations.
Oh, yes.
And,
For
yeah,
those who
and
didn't see it, you
I,
can podcast it. There's a guy in Louisiana that decorated his front yard, and he have images of Christ with his head cut off and the devil holding the head and all kind of bloody stuff. And some people don't like it. Go ahead.
yeah, so I, for me, I kind of resonate with the older gentleman that reported, where he said that, this was nothing unusual. People go over there, but it doesn't affect him. And he understands that, New Orleans is the city of the Big Easy. There's Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras lasts like for at least 2 months. And people go out and dress up and wear all kinds of scary masks, and they throw beads and candy, but no one, and it'd be the same people who go out there and say, oh, this is bad, bad depiction, whatever, but they'll be out there getting drunk on Mardi Gras, or maybe mooning or showing themselves to get beat.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're enjoying themselves. But for me, I understand how you said it, is that some people, for him, it's his expression. And to me, it's an expression of anger that he has with himself and with God. But I forgive him,
Yes.
I understand.
Yeah.
But it doesn't react to me. And that's something that, like when you talk about, I know HAKE talked about how it was gross, but to me, it's not so much about the grotesqueness. To me, it shows the grotesqueness that's on the inside.
Yes.
That when you are not listening to the Father, He's telling you He's there, and every time He's there, He sees it and He just allows it. But the people, the believers, instead of being doers, instead of forgiving the man and just going on about their lives, they just continue to get outrage over it. And so it's like you said, they're two devils fighting.
Yeah.
And like I said, we have Mardi Gras, we have parades here in Louisiana, literally every month. People go out in masks, throw beads and coins and candy. But it's nothing unusual. But it's just that some people, they like to get disingenuous and righteously indignant. I know, for me, when I would hear from my parents, kind of similar to yours, because we're out in the country. I live about maybe 2 hours west of New Orleans, and people will go out, say, to their grandma or grandpappy's house, their mama or papa's house. They'll have some gumbo, make some popcorn balls. They'll fellowship with each other.
Yes.
It would be like a time for people to just to meet up, maybe have a little gathering. They'll have one room for the kids, and then the other room would be for the grown-ups. But it was people would just always do that. It would be another day. It wouldn't be something that people would just, just get all, immersed into.
Right.
And so,
yep. That's amazing.
So, yes, sir. Like I said, I don't know if they do Mardi Gras in Alabama, but I know one of the first Mardi Gras was in southern Alabama, the first one that was ever done, but it was out in the country. And so people would actually go out together. They would kind of go out, play music. They'll go chase some chickens. They'll take the chickens. They'll make a gumbo out of it. And so because it's gumbo weather. Usually around that time of the year, it's much colder, and people go, they have gumbo. Maybe they'll get some potato salad, eat with the gumbo. But it was a time for people to fellowship.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people, it's really got to turn the TV off, because if you actually just go outside and you realize that God has really blessed us here in this country, in spite of all the things that are going on. We can still go outside. We can still go and seek Him in silence, in solitude. And there's so much to be grateful for. But yet, the society at large focuses on the worst of its kind. And the more you focus on them, the more power you give to them. You become a slave to the grotesque, just as the person that is expressing it.
Amazing, man. Very, mamma mia, good point. You're absolutely right. I don't know if it's unfortunate, but there are people who love being slaves. That's why they overreact like that. They want a thrill. They want to be a slave. And then if anyone try to escape slavery, then you become the enemy because they want everyone else enslaved with them. But that's what it is, man. They just love it. They love the thrills they get from reacting and overreacting and judging and hurting and all that. It's all about the thrill of it.
Right, and I don't want to keep you too long, but I had something recently where it was my mom and I. We went and drove, like just this kind of like to relax by the lakefront, and it happened to be Juneteenth. I didn't even know it was Juneteenth, but there was all these blacks that were out there. Their kids were out there. Basically, they were pulling down the trees that were there, pulling down limbs, just acting all buck wild. The policemen, they were there. They just allowed to go. And just for one day, it's another day, but just for this, they were so immersed into this Juneteenth, even though, like I said, I'm in Louisiana, has nothing to do with, it's really a Texas thing. Yeah. And so even my mama and my grandma, my grandparents, they said, they didn't even recognize it. It was like, that doesn't connect. That's not our people. That's not us. That's whatever they do there in Texas. I mean, they didn't really, it was just something that they heard about it, but they never really made an issue out of it. But I remember watching this recently because they made it a national holiday, and instead of the blacks, being out there calm and civil, they're out there getting all, wild and woolly like they normally do when it's not Juneteenth.
But for me, the thrill of it.
Yes, sir. And while I was there, the thoughts was running through me like a train. And I just sat there, and I just, I just enjoyed the calmness of the watching on the lakefront while all the other mess was going on. And then, it just made me realize that, like you said, all of this that happens outside of us doesn't have to happen inside of us.
Yes.
The only thing you have to do is just be still.
Beautiful, man. Amazing. And because you're living from your world and not their world, they're catching hell in their world, but in your world, it's paradise. Stay with it, Adrian. And you haven't seen anything yet, man. It gets better and better. And it's nothing but love.
You sound like my grandpa. You sound like my grandpa. He would tell my mom the same thing. He would say, you know what? I may not be here today or tomorrow. All you have to do is just sit back and watch. You think you've seen everything? You haven't seen anything yet. You just sit back and watch.
That's right. Amazing, Grandpa. Tell me about the good old days. Thank you, man. Call me again. Amazing, amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse.
All right, buddy.